by supporting the development of disaster risk management policies and bills, and we are glad that a number of counties today can say that they have policies and bills that are guiding their work towards disaster risk management. UNDP has also supported training and raising awareness for technical officers, county executives, as well as our members of county assemblies who play an important part in terms of passing legislation to govern disaster risk management. Important also is supporting mainstreaming of disaster risk reduction into development plans, strategies, and programs. And not forgetting the work that we have done at community level, investing in community initiatives to ensure that resilience is also built at that level. Ladies and gentlemen, the launch of the disaster management report, which we are witnessing today, is a key milestone in the journey to resilience in Kenya. I wish to congratulate the government and specifically the IGRTC on the development of this report, which seeks to ensure that disaster management functions are effectively implemented at all levels of government. And we are proud as UNDP to be associated with the development of this report. I also do want to, at this point, say it has not just been UNDP within the UN family, but we also have UNICEF that has been engaged. We have the Resident Coordinator's Office that has been engaged, and I see my colleague Ayaz here. So really a combined effort of support to government by the UN family. In closing, I wish to acknowledge and thank the government of Kenya, our bilateral and multilateral development partners that continue to stand with the government and the people of Kenya in strengthening disaster risk management, and who have also entrusted us to serve as an implementing partner for many of their programs. And as a result, we witness milestones as such as today. UNDP stands ready to continue supporting the government and the people of Kenya. Together, we have the collective expertise and experience to look beyond just disaster recovery, but towards Agenda 2030 together. I thank you all. Asante sana.
Thank you so much. Let's give her another hearty clap, please. Thank you so much. Now let me take this opportunity to invite the chair of IGRTC, Mr. Kithinji Kiragu, to give us his remarks, who then will in turn invite our cabinet secretary. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Kontoma. The Honorable Minister for Defense and Acting Minister for Devolution, Honorable Eugene Wamalwa, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed in the interest of time. I take this opportunity just to make a few remarks. The proper communication will be from our special guest, the Cabinet Secretary. I would like to start by saying a very deep thank you to each and every one of you who has made it to this forum today. Special thanks go to the Cabinet Secretary himself, because I know he has just arrived into the country and is with us this morning. I think it gives us the spirit of a working nation. You know, most people, when you come from the plane, from Europe, you go to bed. But in his case, he has come to work, not to sleep. So apewe makofi kwa kuwa na sisi hapa leo. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank all the members of the Interagency Committee for the work they have done to deliver this document to all of us, not just in this room. This room is just supposed to be the staging point for making sure that it is there in all the county governments, and we have distributed copies to county governments through the Council for of Governance, and therefore everybody should be able to use it as a guide in terms of what is going to happen. Having said that, Mheshimiwa Waziri, let me just make one or two remarks about today's occasion. That first, this occasion and the process which has given us the report today does tell us how intergovernmental relations need to be handled in the future. I say that because the county governments and the national government operate in one space called Kenya. And they operate to serve one person, whom we have called Wanjiku. Therefore, it is inevitable where two parties are involved, and this is by nature of human existence, that there will be issues. You know, even in the best love affair, there will be issues. So it is not just in this case where we have been put together by the Constitution. So their intergovernmental relations will always be there. But the most important thing is that they are handled in a dynamic way and in the spirit of the Constitution, which says consult, cooperate, coordinate. And with that, we can make devolution richer for Kenya. And we know we are not going backwards on devolution. Devolution now can only be deepened, can be only be consolidated, can only be strengthened. We can't go backwards. And as we go ahead with it, however smartly we do it, there will also always be intergovernmental relations issues. And the important thing is to do what we have done through this process, is to get all the parties to consult, to cooperate, to coordinate. This occasion also, and the process, tells us that we can say we have assigned laws, we have allocated functions, we have unbundled and so on. But even when that has been done, it is never going to be a clean slate, that this is the definitive boundary between the parties. We have given the level 1 and level 2 functions to the county governments. We have given levels 3 and 4, which are the more difficult tasks, to the national government. But it is important for us to realize that that is not a sacrosanct arrangement. That a county government which is not able to handle level 2 functions can approach the national government to help it to handle it. And vice versa. The national government can choose some county governments, like Mheshimiwa Waziri, Nairobi County, if it is well managed, can handle a lot of things which the national government does today. And it will all be good for the people of Kenya. Therefore, let us see devolution. Let us see even this, therefore, the relation of laws and functions from a strategic perspective in the interest of improving service delivery to the mwananchi. And if we are driven by the need to improve service delivery to the people, the need for wealth creation, the need to create employment, then I think there will be much less of a quarrel of unproductive type. Debates will be there, conflicts will be there. The important thing is that those conflicts are constructive, they are led by shared laws, shared objectives, shared spirit of getting the country to move forward. As IGRTC, we are in the space to serve both the national agencies, ministries, departments, and agencies, including state corporations, and the county governments, to relate better in serving the people of Kenya. We have made sure that we have even been trained in alternative dispute resolution. All my teammates because we want to do this dispassionately, professionally, objectively, with integrity, without fear of evil. And therefore, don't be afraid, don't
the outgoing parliament. So may I say that disasters are indeed becoming an issue of growing concern, not just in Kenya, but globally. The impact of disasters upon our societies has been greatly increased and becoming a major obstacle for us to achieve sustainable socioeconomic development in the light of our economic development blueprints, Vision 2030. This was witnessed in 2020 also when COVID-19 struck the world, and Kenya has been affected just like other economies in the world. Often when disasters strike, especially droughts and floods, many lives are lost, displacements occur, families are separated, and direct economic loss is estimated at millions of Kenyan shillings, which sets back socioeconomic development, especially in developing countries. To save lives and reduce human suffering, both national and international communities have been doing their best in disaster response, which is not only critical but necessary. However, disaster response alone is insufficient. We have to prepare adequately for disasters. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know that natural disasters are not natural, which has much to do with human activities. Disasters are the result of extreme natural hazards and unsustainable human development activities, such as rapid urbanization and unplanned human settlements. Much can be done to prevent the occurrence of disasters, or at least to mitigate the impact of disasters, if we mainstream disaster risk management into our development processes. We must recognize that good disaster risk management helps to achieve development goals such as poverty eradication and environmental sustainability. To mitigate the impact of disasters and to sustain our socioeconomic investments, governments and international organizations can no longer afford to treat disaster issues as a marginalized issue or area and deal with it on an ad hoc basis. On the contrary, we should act now before it is too late to adopt a proactive, holistic, and comprehensive approach in disaster management, enabling us to mainstream disaster risk management systematically into our day-to-day activities. Ladies and gentlemen, on the way forward, I would like to take this opportunity to inform you that the Disaster Risk Management Bill currently in Parliament will pass at some point, and it will change the way we deal with disasters both at the national and at our county levels. We have therefore to plan and move from disaster response to disaster reduction. As we chart the way forward, we have to be alive to the new challenges today, which require renewed commitment and strategies. We know that disaster risk is increasing in the world. Poverty, urbanization, and climate change, these factors are leaving people and communities ever more exposed. Through devolution, governments are brought closer to the people that they serve. Among the key objects of devolution is to give powers of self-governance to the people and to enhance participation of the people in the exercise of the powers of the state and in making decisions affecting them. To recognize the right of communities to manage their own affairs and to also further their development. We all know disasters put hard-won development achievements at risk. They reverse economic growth and the progress we have made in eliminating poverty. Sadly, climate change will make things worse. Wet seasons are getting wetter and dry seasons are getting drier. Climate-related disasters now account for the vast majority of all disaster events, and they contribute enormously to economic losses and population displacement. Ladies and gentlemen, with everything we know, we have a golden opportunity to plan accordingly. And I'm happy that our counties are represented here. We should seize every opportunity for lesson learning and exchange of ideas and good practice between our counties or between the two levels of government. It is in these counties that we find most of the innovation needed to realize the potential of devolution. All counties need to be aware and inspired by each other's efforts. Sometimes healthy competition is important too. Through this report, the counties now have their functions and responsibilities well delineated, and the same applies to those of national government and all ministries responsible. Let me assure each one of you of our unwavering support as we embark on planning around this disaster management. I wish to be with you the whole day, but we also do have another function that touches on our counties. CRA is today also unveiling another document that is counter-specific that will be able to give our county status, and we want to focus on our counties. This is something that I've been very passionate about, and I thank the President for giving me the opportunity to serve in the Ministry of Devolution, because devolution is really a game changer. It has changed our country. The last 10 years of devolution has had an impact. A lot of you might not realize this, but we are the envy of many African countries. Recently, we had the Afri-Cities in Kisumu, and we had very many countries coming to Kenya asking us, how did you do this? How could you, in less than 10 years, have 47 governments set up and running, and decentralized to the level that Kenya has? After Afri-Cities in Kisumu, we have several delegations that are now coming to our country. They want to benchmark with us. They want to see how they can also get devolution working in their countries. So this is one thing that we should celebrate sometimes. We might not know this, but in Africa, we are the envy of many countries. And I was telling the politicians, because now is that time of campaigns, and there's talk of bottom-up and middle-out and trickle-down. You know, a lot of economic theories. But I have always said the real bottom-up is devolution. This is the real deal, and it is working. And it has changed our country. It has changed our counties. We are looking forward to the leadership that will strengthen devolution and ensure that we take more resources down there to the bottom where the wananchi are, where they can sit and capture their own priorities and turn our counties into engines of socioeconomic transformation of our country. It can happen, and it will happen through devolution. So let me thank you, Chairman, and your team. Thank you, UNDP, again for this report, and look forward to working together to ensure that we entrench devolution. We also entrench disaster risk management in our counties and in our country. Thank you very much, and I think my work was to now declare the report officially launched. I don't know if there are some ceremonies. I'm told lazima kuwe na mbwembwe na nderemo. There should be some fireworks. Maybe Vice Chair, you'll guide us on what to do now.
Thank you so much, our CS. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to the next activity. And our next activity, we shall have a launch of the report. Then we shall have a group photo. We shall allow our CS from there now to leave at his own pleasure. The rest of us, we shall remain seated, and we proceed with our program where we shall have our remarks. We shall have our vote of thanks, and then we shall have lunch. We have prepared lunch for you, and therefore now we would wish now to ask our guests. We shall have our CS, UNDP Evelyn, COG, NDMA, IGRTC members, UN Mr. Ayas, Kenya Red Cross, and UNICEF representative. So that we move to where we shall have our launch of the report. And now we can move to that end, our CS and the guests that I've mentioned. Please. Karibu sana CS.
As our guests, chief guest leaves, please let's remain seated. We proceed with the program. We had to rush very many things, including the objectives of the meeting, because of the other program that Waziri had. So now we are going to proceed with the program the way it is. We will now go back to the overview of the report, which shall be given by our Director for Functional Analysis, Madam Joy Bigambo. Karibu sana. Are you doing a PowerPoint? Okay. Okay, so proceed.
Thank you, Chair.
Please note that we will give each of you the report, so we will share the reports with each one of us.
Thank you, Thematic Chair. I have a brief presentation on the report that you are going to all receive. And it's a report on unbundling, assignment, and transfer of disaster management functions to the national and county governments. The report is outlined as follows. There's a brief introduction, a background, then a bit on delineation of the disaster management report, a few challenges and recommendations. This is a very brief indication of what is in the report. On the introduction bit, IGRTC is established under Section 11 of the IGRA Act 2012, and the functions of the technical committee are provided for in Section 12 of the Act and include facilitating the activities and implementing the decisions of the National and County Government Coordinating Summit and the Council of Governors. And in accordance with Section 12 of the IGRA Act, IGRTC is mandated to take over the residual functions of TA, which is established under the law relating to the Transition to Devolved Government Act after the dissolution, which was in 2016. Specifically, and why we are here, among the residual functions that IGRTC took over from TA was to facilitate the analysis and the first transfer of the functions provided for under the 4th schedule of the Constitution. If you look under the 4th schedule of the Constitution, the function of firefighting services and the disaster management was transferred to the county government through the legal notice number 16 of 1st February 2013. And by this virtue, Article 186, the function is deemed to be within the concurrent jurisdiction. This one falls both under the national and the county government, specifically disaster and firefighting. In 2019, in the wake of the ravaging drought, the COG held a full council meeting and IGRTC was tasked to unbundle the disaster management function. Immediately, IGRTC constituted an interagency technical team from the stakeholders to analyze the roles of each level of government, the emerging challenges, and provide a comprehensive report and a way forward to the Council of Governors. The team finalized the report with the support from UNDP, and IGRTC, still with the same support, printed the report that is with us today. If you look at the delineation bit, the interagency went ahead and unbundled the function of disaster so that each level of government is clear on its mandate in the performance of that function. The unbundling and functional assignment was guided by the National Disaster Management Policy for 2017 and the levels of the disasters. The functions were assigned to each level basing on the steps taken in the disaster risk management, and these include prevention, preparedness, response, and recovery. Further, IGRTC delineated the disaster management functions via legal notice number 86 of 2021. Specifically, we have some functions. We just lifted a bit of each function, both for the national and the county government. If you look at disaster prevention, national government is given the function to conduct national disaster risk assessment and analysis. Equally, the county is given the function of conducting county disaster risk assessment analysis. If you look at disaster preparedness, we also have lifted a function for each. The national government is given the function to implement national resilience and climate change adaptation strategies, while the counties have to implement county-specific strategies for resilience and climate change eradication. If you look at disaster response, national government has the function of national government to declare national emergency, while the counties also to declare county emergencies. If you look at disaster recovery, the national government has the responsibility to mount national public participation in recovery programs, while the counties have the function of county resource mobilization for disaster risk recovery. During this period and within the preparation of the report, some challenges came to the fore. One was there's lack of a unifying national legislation in management of disasters. There is inadequate vertical and horizontal coordination of stakeholders in all matters relating to disaster management, i.e. distribution of relief of food. There is delay to develop a law to operationalize the National Disaster Risk Management Policy 2017, and the National Disaster Response Plan of 2009 is yet to be aligned to the devolved system of government, and there is lack of documented county-level response plans. Among the other challenges, there is an absence of hazard atlas in most of the counties, and we note that only 8 counties have developed the hazard atlas with the help of the National Drought Management Authority and the National Disaster Operations Center. There is also failure by some counties to establish and utilize county emergency funds. There is weak disaster risk management coordination structures at both levels of government, and there is inadequate human resource capacity to manage risk disasters at the county level. We have a few recommendations, and recommendations is one, there's need for development of capacity building and technical assistance programs for disaster risk management by the national government. There is need to develop capacity building and technical assistance for disaster by the county governments. And there's also need to develop public service education programs to create awareness. And also another recommendation is for county governments to develop a legislation on disaster risk management and establish a county emergency fund in accordance to the PFM Act 2012. I am done, Chair, and I thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Director Joy. Let's give her a better hand clap. Thank you very much. So the packages that are being distributed have the disaster management report. We also have a report on deepening devolution, and we also have the legal notice for disaster management. You can refer later on. At this time, I want to welcome a representative of the Interagency Technical Committee. As we earlier mentioned, this report was not done by IGRTC alone. It was an interagency that consisted of representatives from different agencies and ministries that deal with disaster. So because we cannot have all of them speak, we have actually requested one of them to speak on their behalf. Madam Rachel Osando from Kenya Law Reforms Commission, come and make your remarks on behalf of the Interagency Technical Committee. Thank you.
So good morning to the Chair IGRTC, members IGRTC, and all protocols observed. My name is Rachel Osendo. I am a member of the IATC. The IATC, as stated, is an interagency technical committee. I work with the Kenya Law Reform Commission. The Kenya Law Reform Commission is a state agency that is mandated to undertake law reform. And so we undertake law reform at both levels of government, that is for national government, as well as for county governments. And so we review all the legislation, that is substantive legislation, as well as subsidiary legislation. So I'm here on behalf of my CEO, but also on behalf of IATC. And we'd just like to thank IGRTC. We have a very cordial relationship between IGRTC and Kenya Law Reform Commission. We have worked together for very many years. We have assisted them in matters of law reform, especially on intergovernmental relations, especially ensuring that there's a conducive environment for intergovernmental relations. So when it comes to DRM, this has not been any different. And when we got the invite from IGRTC to be part of the Interagency Technical Committee as KLRC, we definitely didn't think twice, and we joined the team. We were very excited to be part of the team so we could unbundle together and bundle the functions under DRM. I think everybody who has been here has mentioned how DRM is a very complex discipline, if I may say. It's very complex, it's very sensitive. DRM has very high accountability, and it's multi-sectoral. It cuts across the board, and so everybody, every sector, every person in the public, even in private sector, is actually engaged in DRM. And so I think the coordination of all the players into DRM becomes a bit complex, and I think coordination has been one of the greatest challenges. And when you think about DRM also, DRM is it goes to the core of life, it goes to the core of humanity, it goes to the core of who we are. And so it's also a very emotive sector, if I may put it like that. But I think we would appreciate the approach that IGRTC has used in terms of using the levels. And KLRC was also part of the team that came up with a policy for DRM. And so using the approach of the levels, level 1, 2, 3, and 4, was a unique idea which I think may actually work within the DRM sector, because DRM is very key on complementarity, very key on collaboration, working together. And also if you look at the principle of subsidiarity, where you want the lowest level to be able to be empowered to undertake any action at that particular level as it keeps coming up. And so the aspect of the levels was definitely, that was going to be a winner, and that is definitely going to be a game changer. And I think the other aspect that we would look at is, I think I would urge IGRTC again, together with the other institutions, to publicize now and to sensitize the Gazette notice, because not all agencies are aware of the Gazette notice. And as KLRC, because we assist both levels of government, that is national and county, we are really at the center of government action. So we work with a lot of the MDAs, we work with the constitutional commissions, independent offices, and even members of the public, and not all of them are aware of this particular Gazette notice. So I think one of the priorities for IGRTC, which we could do together with you, is to see how you can publicize, educate the public on the Gazette notice, publicize the Gazette notice, and let us see how it can also form the agenda when we are looking at DRM in terms of government action. I think that government should not just speak with one voice, but should be seen to actually be speaking with one voice. I think my parting shot as, and this would be as Kenya Law Reform Commission, but also as a member of the IATC, is that we need some more education on the demarcation between DRM and emergency. Because our DRM, our understanding is still a bit heavy on the response side of things. So now we need to have a proper demarcation between DRM and emergency. Our laws are very clear. When you look at the Constitution, you look at PFM, in terms of how you deal with emergencies. Emergencies are unforeseen, unplanned for, unappropriated for. They are not budgeted for. But DRM is now moving into a cycle of planning. We are looking at preparation, we're looking at preparedness, you're looking at recovery, you're looking at mitigation, you're looking at response. We are going into planning. And so with DRM, you want to build resilient communities. With DRM, you want to invest in infrastructure. You want to increase capacity, right? So DRM is not emergency. Let me put it like that. So I think this is the direction that we now need to go to and ensure that we now, incorporate DRM in proper planning, right? And then, because we have that confusion happening at county level, for example, and I think COG can attest to this, we have counties developing emergency legislations on emergency that also deal with DRM, right? So we need to have a clear demarcation so that we can now build the proper resilient communities that we're supposed to build when we're doing DRM. So I'll just say, again, I'll just close by thanking IGRTC once again for inviting me as a member of IATC, and of course also as an officer from the Kenya Law Reform Commission. Kenya Law Reform Commission is definitely committed to continue assisting you when you look at ways in which you can have law reform when it comes to DRM. And just as the CS had said, we are hoping that the next parliament may prioritize the DRM bill. This parliament had prioritized it, but then they adjourned before they moved forward. So I think also part of what we would need to do in the next financial year again is see how we can pick up and prioritize the particular bill at national level, and also see whether with the counties we can have a model law on DRM. Kenya Law Reform has developed a model law on DRM, and so I think this is something we could see how it could assist the counties in coming up with better legislation even as they look at what they have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Rachel. A better clap for her. And indeed, Rachel and IATC, your work is not yet finished. There is the part of sensitizing. We are going to do the sensitization in the next financial year because this financial year is already gone, but we expect after elections to do the sensitization of the legal notice and the report to all the counties. So allow me now to invite the CEO for National Drought Management Authority, Mr. Lambara, who is also representing the PS for ASAL. Karibu.
The chair, IGTRC, and the committee, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I will try to fit the two hats because I'm representing the CEO and as well as the PS ASALs. May I take this opportunity to join the rest of the team members on this occasion of launching the report on drought disaster risk management. On behalf of the PS and the CEO NDMA, we take this opportunity to thank the IGTRC for facilitating this process to the end. Indeed, this is a key milestone in disaster risk management. And for all of us practitioners, it is actually a key deliverable that IGTRC has been able to facilitate. We also thank the UNDP and other stakeholders that have played a key role in ensuring that the partnership leads to a good report that we've just launched. As provided in the presentation, the report outlines the key functions that have been remained actually not clear, but now is very clear in terms of the levels of disasters. Level 1 and 2 being the delineated down to the county governments. Level 3 and 4 being handled by the national government, without necessarily losing the spirit of complementarity. So for us, the roles are very clear now. And as NDMA, we've played a key role and also facilitating and providing input. And as the ministry or the State Department for ASALs, we all know when we talk of vulnerability, the areas that are actually vulnerable are the ASALs. And what Mheshimiwa Waziri was talking about here is only the ASALs that you find drought in one end and you find floods in another end. So what's the implication of this? It makes and defines the way of doing business easier. Because if each and every partner understands the roles, then it's very clear for us to work, and we know and appreciate that the first line of response is actually the county governments. But that does not mean that the national government will not be working with the county governments in that line. The complementarity is very important. So as I've mentioned, this is a key output of in disaster risk management. Now for other stakeholders, I think the next steps moving forward is to popularize the report. And for us as NDMA, we commit, and also the ASALs commit that we will work with IGRC to popularize the report and also ensure that the spirit of the report is integrated in our planning. We can only achieve disaster risk management if we are able to mainstream the preparedness and also the necessary resilience building effort. And this needs to be integrated upstream. So yes, the whole essence is actually also to do a lot of awareness creation, because each one of us has a role to play, including the local communities. So that's the role that we will seek to work together. It's good. We also appreciate the partners that are here, especially the COG. I think in the presentation that has been done, there are key challenges, and when we are doing the process of doing this, we also map the challenges. And one of the challenges that we have identified is the disaster risk financing instruments. Yes, you can have very good plans, you can have a very good coordination mechanism, but the resources are a key component. So disaster risk financing instruments is very important, and we do appreciate the steps the government has taken to ensure that disaster risk financing instruments are put in place. From our end, the National Drought Emergency Fund is already operationalized. And the government has disbursed 200 million so far, which is in our account, to support in disaster, National Disaster Emergency Fund. I know there are also draft regulations for the Disaster Management Fund, which are also in advanced stage. But then where we have the challenge is actually the operationalization of the 2% requirement at the county level. The counties can only dispense what this report outlines if that fund and the disaster risk financing instruments are actually implemented also at both national and county levels. So that's the spirit, and that's moving forward. Probably the IGRC team, that's what we need, because unless these instruments are put in place, then probably the spirit of the report may not be achieved as envisaged. So for us, as the PSSL commits that moving forward, we will seek to work together in the 23 ASAL counties and ensure that we integrate the report in our coordination mechanisms. We already have the coordination structures at the county level and also at the national level. So we will work with you, we commit to work with you that the report, we popularize the report through the coordination structures. Yes, and when it comes now to the drought, the current drought, we know we are not out of the woods yet. The drought situation is still there, and we are projecting that the drought situation is continue to worsen. So this again calls for all the partnership that we seek across the stakeholders and between the national and county governments. This report will go a long way to strengthen our coordination and how we do business. So once again, I take this opportunity to thank everyone, especially the committee, the team that worked to produce the report, and also everyone that has contributed in one way or the other. So thank you very much, and looking forward that we continue to strengthen disaster risk management coordination. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lambara. So our next presenter is Red Cross, Mr. Michael. The other name is a bit difficult. Let me not mispronounce it. Red Cross? I? Let me not pronounce it. Karibu sana.
So if you pronounce it, they say Ayabay. Some forget and put it as Aina Ayabay. Yes, the chair, IGRTC, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. So from us as Red Cross really is, I think this report makes our work a little bit easy, and it's something that we really look forward to, because then we've always a bit struggled to work in between the tasks that are at the county and those that are at national level, because then we are auxiliary to both national and county governments, and therefore when we have to deal with disasters that then the magnitudes keep changing from time to time, then what levels then do we talk to? And so this for us really is just one great opportunity. I would just want to read just a small statement from our end on this. So it's a great privilege for us to be here today to witness the launch of the report. This indeed is timely, and it's going to help us in dealing with how we continue to deal with the disasters that manifest with higher levels of complexity. Specifically, we are battling with drought and conflicts, terrorism and epidemics. The emergence of COVID-19 and monkeypox, not to mention old diseases like yellow fever, chikungunya, are just some of the examples that should worry us. With this kind of situation, coordination becomes key, and Kenya Red Cross Society always makes effort to ensure that it intervenes whenever these emergencies occur. So in line with our auxiliary role that we play with both national and county government, we want to say that we remain committed and optimistic that once the recommendations of this report start to be put in place, we will find it even much easier to work with all levels of government, and we remain committed really to continue giving any support whenever we are called upon, whether be it the task that is being done technically in the field, or whenever we have to support in policy, because we have a department that has a number of officers who are also able to make that contribution. So I wanted, on behalf of the Secretary General of Kenya Red Cross, to assure you that we continue to remain committed in ensuring that we play our role being auxiliary to national government, or at the county level being auxiliary to county government. Thank you very much.
A better clap for Red Cross. Thank you very much, and indeed we do acknowledge that you are always there in times of disaster. Thank you very much for being here. I also want to invite the Vice Chair of County Secretaries Forum to come and make remarks on behalf of the Chair of County Secretaries Forum. Mr. Mukuria.
The chair, IGRTC, and the members, all protocols observed. My name is Patrick Mukuria. I'm the County Secretary, Murang'a County Government, and also the Vice Chair of the County Secretaries Forum. So I'm here to represent my chairman. I want to start by saying that I'm delighted because of today's function. Because when we are talking about disaster, you are talking about protection of lives and property, which is very important. And I want to say that as a county, we have really gone very far. I remember when I joined the county in the year 2014, we did not have capacity to deal with disasters. Because at the moment I'm serving for the second term, so I understand where we are coming from. Like when I joined the Murang'a County Government, we did not even have a single fire engine. We did not even have a fire station. But I want to say that we have really moved. As a country, now we have been able to train on the side of fire more than 1,200 people. We have also set up a fire academy, one of its kind in Kenya, here in Kiambu, through our development partner called Police Center for International Aid. So these are some of the milestones we have been able to achieve since devolution came. We have also now, like in Murang'a, we have more than 3 fire stations. In fact, we have 4. And in collaboration with Nairobi Metropolitan, we have quite a number of fire engines. And I want to say that our response time at the moment, after receiving that distress call, we are able to step out within 2 or 3 minutes. This is according to the international standard. In fact, on this side, we have even been able to train TOTs who even go outside the country to train. So this goes a long way to show you where we are coming from. At the moment, we are even upgrading our fire stations through the same donor. In Kenya, we have been able to do Tharaka Nithi and Meru. And we are also going to do, we are in the process of doing Murang'a. We have done Tharaka Nithi and Nandi. We are now doing Murang'a and Meru. And this partnership between our development partner and the county government. Because the county government are able to contribute, for example, land or building, and then they are able to help us refurbish these buildings. So we are really moving very, very high in terms of the disaster management. We have also trained many divers. I know sometimes back we didn't know what to do when a disaster strikes. We used to look for divers all over. But at the moment we have enough. People who can rescue people, training on rope rescue. They can rescue people from skyscrapers. These are capacities that we have been able to come up with, and they are really assisting. We have been able to operationalize disaster management committees, which are chaired by the county secretaries and the county commissioners, such that when a disaster strikes, first of all, we are prepared. We are able to go through that cycle of prevention, be able to respond, because, you know, it's a concerted effort. And that is why when we talk about disaster, we are talking about disruptions that we cannot be able to handle, we have to call in other agents to come and help. I remember the other day we had a house that collapsed, and because we were very prepared, we had the numbers of those people who can help us respond, the Red Cross, the KDF, National Youth Service. We were able to respond within a very short time, and by so doing, we were able to save lives. So this is what we are talking about, being prepared so that we are able to respond. And also the recovery aid in any phase is also very important. How do we do after disaster? In Muranga, we have had landslides. You wake up one morning and maybe your acre of tea bushes has moved. You no longer have anywhere to rely on. Even your house, you can wake up in another place. For example, you slept here, then you wake up here near KBC. These are issues we are talking about that has been happening. But let me say we have really moved, and this part of the evolution that we have seen it growing. And we want to continue improving our capacities in all areas of disaster management, so that at the end of the day, we are able to assist our people. Because this is a concerted effort, and that is why we were told it's a concurrence function. It's a function of the national government and also the function of the county government. So I don't want to say much. I just want to thank IGRTC for this opportunity, so that we can be able to come together, launch this report, which I'm sure in our counties we are going to implement. We'll ensure that we implement it. But once again, I'm happy to say that where we were in 2012 is not where we are now. We have really moved. So once again, thank you very much for listening to me.
Asante sana, Vice Chair wa County Secretaries Caucus. As I earlier mentioned, we will be disseminating the report and doing sensitization, and we do hope when we come to the counties, we'll be able to cooperate in doing that exercise elections. I want also to acknowledge and invite the representative of the Principal Secretary, State Department of Social Protection, to come and make a few remarks. Karibu, Mr. Ambassa.
Thank you so much, Bwana Chair, and my good old friend, Madam Lynette. We are tied together in a certain assignment, so I'm happy to meet her here again. Good morning. I'm delighted to be part of the launch of this disaster management report. And on the onset, I need to put it clear that I was invited but not required to make a speech. But in government, there has never been a lacuna, and speeches are there to tell the people the policies that are there in government. Having said that, I am here. My name is Ombassa Peter from the National Social Protection Secretariat, where we wake up, social protection, we eat lunch, social protection, and of course go to dinner thinking about social protection. And this report ideally is going to assist us in making sure that we don't leave anybody behind. As you're aware, we are trying to look at Vision 2030 and of course the SDG goals that tell us that everybody should be endowed and given some kind of social protection. We didn't know that COVID could revolutionize all of us to a single particular scenario. All of us became vulnerable at that time, and we didn't know that even myself could be in need of assistance because I couldn't go to work. Unfortunately, I was getting old. I didn't know how to operate a Zoom, but it taught us one lesson or another. And that lesson not only taught me, also brought in what we call a new paradigm shift on how government is supposed to do its interventions in terms of social protection. No wonder now we are now thinking widely on how do we then move from targeted spheres to universal social protection. The government is basically moving towards all of us to be in social protection. Of course, it's a choice. You can want to be there or leave others also to be there. We need to live to the fact that our State Department, although endowed with the functionality of making sure that all our colleagues who are vulnerable in the community are kept well, we also have our own challenges that come during disaster. No wonder then we have programs that we are running within the government, and I need to specifically state just two for the purpose of this meeting. We are currently doing a data collection of all the vulnerable communities in Kenya, and currently we've done already 16 counties, whereby we are collecting data of potential beneficiaries for social protection intervention, and this data is put in an enhanced single registry that we all keep. The enhanced single registry has two components. One is those who are receiving cash assistance from the government, and secondly, those who are potentially likely to fall into the bracket of those who are receiving cash or any other kind of assistance, whether in kind or otherwise. I thank Red Cross who have supported us in bringing up the beneficiaries in Taita Taveta. Thank you so much. And of course, other organizations like WFP, UNICEF, who also work in disaster. And they have realized that social protection is easier to deal with, especially when there's disaster. You don't need to go and then start looking for people. You only have their numbers and where they came from. There could be they have shifted because of the disaster, but you can still get them because data is available. Secondly, we are also trying to pilot what we call a universal child benefit program. And this is because of the realization that social protection is not only a need, but also one of the ones that all the people might need. Hence, we realize the targeting of beneficiaries has some expense. And such, we are trying to bring in what we call a universal child benefit for us to be able then to reach everybody. Just in case there's a disaster, we are already covered in everything we are doing. I don't want to make extensive remarks, but I want to thank the organizers of this particular meeting, and of course, those who have struggled to make sure that this particular report is out. And I want to thank them and tell them we'll want to be part of the team that is going to share the report out, utilize it, and make sure that all of us are able to internalize the report and make it a success for not only you as colleagues, but for government to be able to use it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ambas, and thank you all our speakers. I want now to return back the program to our Vice Chair as we conclude our function today. Karibu.
Thank you so much, Madam Lynette, and all the speakers. Now, it's my pleasure now. I want to take this opportunity to invite the next group of our speakers. But before we invite them, I would wish now to ask our secretariat from IGRTC to stand up so that you can wave to our guests. Please stand up, secretariat from IGRTC. Our guests, these are the team. They are the backbone of IGRTC. They are the people who support the board or the committee for the successful interaction between the national government and the county government. Can you wave to the team, please? Asanteni sana. Thank you so much. I want now to take again this opportunity. On this side, we have our CEO. Agnes, please stand up. Here is our CEO. She's our acting CEO, Madam Agnes. Asante. Thank you so much for the good work. I take again this opportunity now to invite our members. IGRTC, we are supposed to be 8 members plus a chair. We are 5 of us here plus our chair 6. 2 of our members are not with us. They are committed elsewhere. So I'll invite Mr. Pere to introduce himself and tell us about his thematic area. Then the other members will follow. Karibu, Pere. Pardon.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Our invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, or good morning, still good morning. My name is Wilson Pere. I'm a member of IGRTC, and I chair a thematic area called Finance and Institutional Development. Basically, we deal with our own internal affairs, we deal with the budgets, we deal with our procurements, we deal with the human resource and resource mobilization. So basically, that is what we do within our thematic area to support the activities of IGRTC. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pere. Let me now invite Madam Angeline Hongo.
Good morning, all. Yes, I'm Angeline Hongo. I'm a member of IGRTC. I do chair the thematic area on assets and liabilities and related records. In this thematic area, generally we look at the assets of the defunct local authorities and assets of the devolved functions as at 27th March 2013. That is before the onset of the county governments. At the moment, we've been able to list all those assets in terms of the defunct local authorities in 2018. By 2020, we have done the ones for the devolved functions. We are now in the process of undertaking valuation of those assets because for them to be transferred, to move from one level to the other level or from local authorities to county governments, we must be able to assign a value, and then we'll be able to transfer the ownership from, for example, Kiambu Municipal Council to Kiambu County. We'll also look at the assets that were owned by national government then, and we'll have to agree on how they will be utilized by both levels of government. So that is what I do spearhead in IGRTC, and all of us feel most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me now invite Madam Alice also to say jambo.
Is it a morning or afternoon? Good morning, everybody. I chair my name is Alice Mayaka. I chair a thematic area which is called CCC for consultations, coordination, cooperation, and HR and capacity development. So it's CCC, HR, and CD. So consultation, cooperation, coordination, human resources, and capacity development. Now what we do in this thematic area, the CCCC, which stands for consultation as the main activity, we handle the sector forums. In sector forums, we bring together the different levels of government on a sectoral activity from national government and from county governments for consultations and discussions so that they can iron out issues which are not very clear in their functions between the two levels. So generally when we have sector forums, they come to deliberate their interests, the way they do things, and they can copy best practices across from one county government to another, from national government, and so it generates issues where there is need for clarity. An example of a sector forum which is very active is the health sector forum. The health sector forum brings together all the ministers of health from the county governments and also the national government Ministry of Health. Like during COVID, they used to come together and brainstorm on how to deal with the pandemic and what measures to take. So sector forums are very key in my thematic area. We also have the agriculture one, we have others. We are now in the process of coming up with one on the culture, the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and we are particularly focusing on documents, because there used to be documents which were handled by the former local authorities, which needed to be transferred to the county governments. So we are in the process of building up a sector forum, where we are going to have the Kenya National Archives and Documentation Service together with records managers from county governments to work together and sort out all those many documents that were pushed into a room when the county governments came into power, and some of them have important documents and many others. We also have an activity where we deal with the follow-up issues on HR. There is CAPS, which our chairman was instrumental in participating. CAPS stands for what? For capacity, is it? Capacity assessment rationalization in the public service, yeah. And so previously IGRTC used to help in posting of like doctors. If doctors qualified, the IGRTC knew which counties are short of doctors, so they would like decide where they should be sent. So it's like rationalizing the public service and the capacities available, harmonizing. So we work in that one. We work closely with the Public Service Commission and the Salaries Remuneration SRC. I think I've gone called today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Alice. Now let me invite Madam Lynette once more so that she can tell us about her thematic area.
Thank you. I think I've spoken so many times, and by now you know what I do. My thematic area is functional analysis, costing, and transfer. It's called FACT. What we do, we look at the functions, and we do analyze the functions to see what functions are supposed to be performed by either level of government in terms of delineating. We know the functions were transferred in 2013 to the counties and to the national government. However, in implementing these functions, mainly you'll find there are conflicts in matters of how to implement them. So my department or my thematic area basically looks and analyzes the functions to see where we can be able to assign each level of government functions in agreement and be able to produce a gazette notice. So we do that, and we also in liaison with the CRA do costing of the functions, and we also do transfer of functions. I think one of the speakers mentioned that if either level of government feels that they can transfer the function to the other level, then we can be able to assist, or we can be able to coordinate that activity to ensure that functions are performed for service delivery. So my thematic area basically looks at that, and transfer of functions may be from national government to county government or county government to national government. Basically, our outputs have been reports and legal notices. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Lynette. Now let me invite alternate member, representative of the Principal Secretary, Mr. Peter. Karibu.
Thank you, Chair. Vice Chair. As already informed, my name is Musaki Peter. I am alternate to the PS, this committee, that is Julius Korir. And simply, as an alternate member, I sit in that committee on behalf of the Principal Secretary. Generally, IGRTC is our child, because the ministry, therefore, is the parent. And as a parent, you are all but interested to ensure that the child grows. Give it the necessary environment, support it, and therefore we are proud, a parent, to ensure that IGRTC then operates within the right environment, supporting both the national and the county governments. I wouldn't want to emphasize that as a parent, but somebody can confuse and say, now this is under this level, that level. No. IGRTC is at that secretariat that supports both levels of government. And we are proud to ensure that IGRTC therefore works to ensure devolution also works. My cabinet secretary, acting, already spoke, and once your boss has spoken, you don't say anything more, you may derail. So thank you so much, Madam Vice Chair and Chairman of the committee, members, and all of us who are here, because we are all saying that this has come at the right time, so that we can have the matter now being addressed in a systematic manner. And I've liked the recommendations which have been aired here. They tell us which should be done and by who. Very clear. We are bringing this out at the right time because, particularly the national government now, ministries are developing their work plans. Yeah. So it's an opportunity for the ministries and various agencies that have been requested to do that through those recommendations, to go ahead and start ensuring those actions are taken rather than waiting for another financial year. We start struggling and seeing how much we can achieve to ensure that we address matters of disasters in this country. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mr. Peter. And finally, we have two other members who are not with us. Mr. John Burgu, he chairs Summit thematic area. We are IGRTC Secretariat to the Summit, and his team leads thematic areas, prepares the agenda for the Summit, follows up on the implementation of the Summit resolution, does monitor that the resolutions of the Summits are implemented to the letter. We have also Mr. Sinyaga Mitu, who is also with us today. He chairs Policy and Legislation thematic area and is a member of the audit committee. In that thematic area, his role, his function is to look at all the policies and the laws that are in place and to ensure that they conform to the Constitution to support devolution. He is also mandated to look at, that thematic area is mandated to look at all emerging issues and whether there is need to review the laws and the policies that are in place. We have done, as IGRTC, reviewed a lot of policies and laws in support with Kenya law reform. Rachel, who was here this morning, she has really supported us. And we are still following, we do also follow on the National Assembly and the Senate to get to know all the bills that are in the Assembly and to ensure that we also give our input so that they are in conformity to the Constitution. And myself, finally, I am, my name is Sadia Abdi Kontoma. I'm the Vice Chair of IGRTC. I do chair Alternative Dispute Resolution thematic area. And we are mandated as IGRTC by IGR Act, Section 30 to 33, 35, on matters of alternative dispute resolution. We have an opportunity to mediate between the two levels of government or even amongst the county government to look at any disputes. Our disputes or the disputes that have been registered by our stakeholders, both at the national level and also at the county governments, are all revolving around functions, land, office space, revenue collection, licensing. And we have registered several, about 19 disputes. They have been registered with IGRTC. We have done several MOUs, about 9. We still have about 16 disputes in our in-tray between 2 levels of government, counties, and also the national government. We very well understand that it's important to have mediation rather than rushing to the courts. The courts have also been referring many cases to intergovernmental relations so that we look at the cases, the matters, and mediate between the 2 levels of government. Therefore, rushing or going to the court is not the only solution. We can always talk between the 2 levels of government, or also amongst the county governments. And let's be objective. This is our nation serving the common mwananchi. Let's change our perception, let's change our thinking, and put all our efforts towards resolving our disputes by engaging each other. That will help us and really save us a lot of costs and also time. Having said that, I will now want to invite our resident consultant, Dr. Kosure, to say jambo also. Before now, finally, we shall embark now to other speakers. Thank you.
That's how I look, but I fear corona. Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, for inviting me. Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, members. Thank you, colleagues. I'm a very happy a very happy person today. My name is Joseph Nyonje Kosure. I'm a consultant for Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee. I have consulted for this organization since it started its work, basically from 2016. My simple job is easy. I do the think tanking, creating, initiating, and then pushing it, conceptualizing, then pushing it to the members and the technical team of the organization to implement. This particular thing we are doing today, we created and initiated it way back in 2017. And from then we've been working. I saw my good friend Nambasa here. I don't know where he has left. We worked very closely right from the year 2017. And therefore, some of us today, we are very happy that this thing is taking place. I am very happy with the second generation members of IGRTC, because when they came in, they took this process as if they had really known it, and they have pushed it to the level where it is today. And I want to thank you so much. As a consultant, when we initiate certain things, or when we put a lot of effort in certain things, and we see it happening, it is the best thing for us. And we are proud that Kenya now has a very clear disaster management document that now clearly puts at the doorstep of the counties what they need to do, and that puts at the doorstep of the national government on what they need to do when there's a disaster. So thank you very much. We are grateful, and thank you, Vice Chair, for giving me the opportunity at least to see the implementation of this disaster management document coming to fruition. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daktari. All these members, Secretariat, and our consultant, we are led by our able chairman, Mr. Kiragu Kithinji, who had spoken to us. In the interest of time, would wish now to proceed with our program. I want to acknowledge the presence of State Department of Special Programs who are also attending this session virtually. National Treasury, Chairperson County Secretaries, County Assembly Forum, Office of the Attorney General, Public Service Commission, State Department of ASAL, who are also attending these sessions virtually. May I take this opportunity now to invite the representative of County Assembly Forum to give us his remarks, Mr. Kaberia. I hope I've pronounced it right. Karibu sana.
Good morning. Good morning again. Let me thank you first, the chairperson for IGRTC, the acting CEO IGRTC, and the whole IGRTC committee for inviting us to this important meeting. First, I will begin with the apologies from my chair, Honorable Ndegwa Home. Due to the political climate we have in the country right now, he could not make it. I will have also to extend apologies on behalf of my CEO, Ms. Judy Oduma. She had another meeting and she was not able to make it. But all I can say, I really appreciate IGRTC for developing this report. County assemblies have always been in the forefront of trying to ensure there is a disaster management framework in the county level. That being said, also County Assemblies Forum has done much to ensure that we support the function of the national government and the function of the county government in disaster risk management. If I can remember well, in 2019, when the COVID-19 pandemic started, really not many counties really had a disaster risk management fund. They had it in legislation as a bill. They had thought about ensuring there was a legislation. But CAF was very quick. We mobilized all the 47 county assemblies to pass what we call the County Disaster Management Fund bill. That was to ensure that funds would be transferred to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. Two, we also helped the county assemblies in developing what we call business continuity guidelines. This would allow county assemblies to continue operations during that pandemic, and we really embraced the governance, doing virtual meetings. We had a lot of challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but really it was a challenge that we undertook, and we really helped county assemblies. So the 47 county assemblies are always committed to support the national government in implementing policies such as the National Disaster Management Policy at the county level. And our request to the IGTRC would be, as you begin this sensitization process on this report, kindly involve us. We have a lot to offer. We have a lot to offer in terms of county assemblies. We have a lot to offer in terms of logistics and mobilizations. And we cannot forget we have had a great relationship with IGRTC up to now, and we really look forward in strengthening this relationship. For the other stakeholders, we thank you a lot. We thank you for the support you have been giving the intergovernmental relation institutions. And with that, with those few remarks, asanteni sana. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, County Assembly Forum. May I now take this opportunity to invite Mr. Kizito from COG, karibu sana, and give us your remarks.
Thank you, Vice Chair of IGRTC. The Chair of the IGRTC, distinguished members of IGRTC, colleagues in the public service, colleagues in the disaster risk management arena, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As introduced, my name is Kizito Wangalwa, and first I want to convey the apologies of the top officials of the council who should have been here. One, to convey the apologies of the Chair of the Council of Governors, His Excellency Martin Wambora. Also to convey the apologies of the Chairperson of the COG Committee on Assaults and Disaster Management, His Excellency Captain Ali Roba, and to convey the apologies of the CEO of the Council of Governors, Madam Mary Mwiti, who is out of the country participating in the World Urban Forum in Poland. And Madam Mwiti delegated to me this responsibility to act on her behalf, and I'm praying that Friday comes soon and she finds the office still running as she runs it herself. So in that regard, I want to congratulate IGRTC for this launch and for mobilizing all the actors in disaster risk management to enable the unbundling of the disaster risk management to be undertaken. And we look forward, therefore, to the implementation of the gazetted functions that have been assigned to the two levels of government. The CS who was here earlier did acknowledge the brevity with which Kenyans are celebrated out there for making sure that devolution in one hell of an effort. We had the 47 county governments in place, and we must celebrate ourselves therefore for this milestone. As a person, I have worn a devolution lens for almost the entire spectrum of my career. I reminisce the times when with the commissioner here, Hongo, we were in the Ministry of Local Government, you know, trying to make the local authorities then to work. I had personally just left to join Hongo and others in the ministry from wearing the hat of a district development officer in the trenches of this country, trying to coordinate action within the districts then, most of which were converted into the counties. And therefore, we must acknowledge that where we are now, we already have building blocks upon which we should be able to coalesce our effort as a country to ensure that disaster risk management and the county governments generally thrive. We have one country, we have one national government, we have 47 counties, which are all institutions of Kenyans that we must make work for the Kenyans. So in disaster risk management, I think a lot of the effort has been on how do you respond to disaster. And we must change the narrative. How do we prepare ourselves not to have disasters? I think that for us is the essential feature that will minimize the disasters when they come. How prepared are we? How do we prepare our people to sustain their livelihoods, to prepare for disasters, be they floods, be it drought, be it the collapse of buildings, be it terrorism, and all other disasters that occur. So we must be able to build the capacity at the lowest level possible to be able to respond to the disaster and prepare each citizen to minimize disaster. So the capacity of the county governments must not be seen as the missing link. It is a national conversation, it's a national concern to ensure that each of the county governments has the capacity to prepare adequately to minimize any disaster and to be able to deal with it when it happens to occur, God forbid. In acknowledging that, we look at ourselves, the institutions that are created currently to manage disaster. How many are they and how are they coordinated? Is it possible that we can coordinate ourselves better? I think so. At the national level, we have not yet consolidated ourselves to be able to manage disaster. We still have parallel streams in competition with each other over issues of disaster. How do we collaborate, collapse, coordinate this effort, create a humongous authority that is able to provide guidelines to the county governments as the authorities at that level to be able to manage disaster risk? From where I sit as director of committees in the Council of Governors, I notice, for example, today we are dealing with National Disaster Operations Center. They are dealing with one stream, very separate from climate change that is dealing with a different stream. Tomorrow we'll be dealing with health committee, dealing with another stream of disaster. Another day we'll be dealing with forest fires, another stream of disaster. How are we coordinating ourselves as a country? What are the policy instruments that we have that are able, therefore, to inform the actions in the county governments? We must have one disaster response at the national level, giving the policy direction for different agencies, the Ministry of Health to deal with the health-related disasters, the Ministry of Agriculture to deal with the agriculture-related pests and other control disasters, the Ministry with the landslides, and the Ministry of Water to deal with flooding, and so that we have one central area that is, therefore, giving direction and policy advice. We are not competing for space in the villages, but we are competing in terms of who is dealing with the correct response on matters of disaster. Finally, we are in a transition as a country, and already the council is preparing for the transition. As I speak today, we are having the third conference of preparing the county executives and chief officers on the transition to the next governments. We already have met with the county secretaries. We have met with the CECs. We are now meeting with the chief officers in the key departments to be able to have a seamless transition. And one of the most fundamental transitions that we must have is how do we embed this disaster risk management framework within the CIDPs? How do we ensure that at the county level, disaster risk management is part and parcel of the CIDP? That as we are doing the agriculture sector plans and the agriculture annual development plans, the CIDP has already stimulated the conversation around embedding disaster risk within the budgets and plans of agriculture within each of the counties and with all the other sectors. So for as long as we look at disaster risk outside of the CIDPs, outside of the sector plans that each county develops, we are still not getting it right. we must have all these actions embedded within the CIDPs. And so as we induct the new administrations, excellency governors, the CECs, with the super coordination of the county secretaries, we must make sure that the conversation on disaster risk management, on climate change, on gender and social inclusion are embedded within the induction and embedded within the CIDPs of the various counties. And with those remarks, I wish to, again, as I conclude, convey our congratulations to IGRTC and look forward to enhancing the collaboration that we have had so far to ensure that we roll out DRM seamlessly to all the county governments. I thank you and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kizito, for that remarks, well detailed. Now, members, our guests, it's my pleasure now to invite our key stakeholders and supporters who without this process would have not been successful and have really supported the whole process this far. May I take this opportunity to invite UNICEF representative, Mr. Dominic, to give us his remarks. Karibu sana. He's not here. Sorry. Now we invite Mr. Ayaz to say something, his remarks. Karibu sana, Mr. Ayaz.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of my colleague from UNICEF, we were not prepared to speak, so I will say something off the cuff. We are very happy to be part of this today. As we know, disaster practitioners, disaster management is all about good coordination, good understanding of the roles. Personally, I was part of the process of doing the unbundling document itself, and I feel with this document in place and with its effective dissemination, we will continue to improve our disaster management response in the country. As some of the speakers have said, disaster response is not just about emergency itself, but it's about the long-term thinking, resilience building, mitigation, preparation. And as we are now looking at climate change drastically affecting the entire globe, but really the whole of Africa, we will definitely have bigger disasters, much more often, with bigger impact. So this will be something that I would encourage. We disseminate very well. We make sure each level of government is clearly aware of their roles, and we make sure partners will know which level of government they should approach when they do the disaster risk management. So with those few thoughts, Madam Vice Chair, I thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let us give him a hearty clap again once more. Asante sana. Now it's my pleasure to invite, we've come to the end of our program, and we'll invite Madam Angeline Hongo to give us a vote of thanks. Thereafter, we shall invite Madam Alice to pray for lunch, and then we shall let you know where lunch is served. Karibu sana, Madam Hongo.
Good afternoon once again. Like you've been told, I'm Angeline Hongo. Mine is very simple. Between the workshop or the meeting and the next program, which is the next part of the program, which has just been mentioned, and that is the lunch. So I will not take a lot of time. I will start by expressing our vote of thanks on behalf of IGRTC to the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Eugene Wamalwa, who was here with us and who accepted to be our chief guest today and to give us the remarks that he was able to do, and even to update us on matters of the DRM bill and where it is, and assure us that even as we start the next administration, the Parliament will be able to make sure that it goes through. Let me also take this opportunity to thank the chair of IGRTC, who has been with us, chair, and sat throughout with us. I want to thank the vice chair of IGRTC, Madam Sadia, for leading the process effectively, and the members of IGRTC who are here with us, and in particular, Madam Lynette, whose area we were managing today, and we've been able to do it successfully. Let me also thank the Council of Governors, led by none other than Mr. Kizito Wangalwa. And I saw some of your team, but I can't see them across the table now. He did not come alone. Yes, he came with some of members of COG. Thank you very much for gracing our occasion. We want to thank very, very sincerely the UNDP, the UNICEF, the representative of the UN resident office, for one, coming a long way with us in ensuring that this occasion is successful. And one of the things that they ensured that was done was to have that document printed in the copies that we do have. We do thank you very, very much, and we appreciate your continued support in the devolution sector. We have worked a lot with them in terms of IGRTC, Ministry of Devolution, and other implementing partners, and UNDP is always ready to come in and step in and help us to move on. Let me take this opportunity also to thank the IATC, led by Madam Rachel Sendo, who has left from the Kenya Law Reform Commission, also to thank them for the good work they've done and for supporting IGRTC when it comes to legal matters. Let me also take this opportunity to thank the NDMA, National Drought Management Authority, Red Cross, for assuring us as IGRTC that even the far we have reached, you are still ready to move on with us, to keep on supporting us as we go on, even in the implementation, creating awareness to the implementers of this report, that you will be available and be able or be ready to support us. Let me also thank the chairperson of the County Public Service Board, the vice chairperson of the county secretaries, because without the assurance from the implementing partners, those are the county governments, the development of such instruments will go into vain. Thank you very much, Mr. Mukiria, for assuring us that for that support that you and your other county secretaries and county governments at large will be able to give to us. We want to thank also the County Assembly Forum for those remarks that you made, and also for assuring us of the support, because if any laws are prepared in terms of DRM, they must go through the County Assembly, and the CAF are ready to assist and even to ensure that implementation of the laws or development of laws to implement what the executive has in mind is done, and it's done appropriately. Before the vice chair left, she just mentioned that we have a number of institutions who are attending, and they're attending virtually: National Treasury, the AG, who is represented here and is also attending virtually. We do thank them for that support that they've been able to give us, and even for attending the launch. As I come to the end, let me heartily thank the IGRTC team, starting with our resident consultant, who, like he said, supports us in a number of issues. He acts as the think tank for IGRTC, and he has been with us for a long, long time after he left being the CEO of CIC. I want to thank the IGRTC staff. They were asked to wave to us all, and led by our able CEO, Madam Agnes, whom I've also been with for a long, long time. I've been in the system for long, not 2-3 years ago. I've been here for some time. And I do thank God also for giving me that strength even to still be here and stand up and speak within the devolution space. Let me finally, not last but not least, to thank the hotel for having given us the space, having accepted to host us here, and giving us that ambience that we are enjoying as participants in this. And I'm sure sometimes you don't, you move out to other people through what you have had or what you have enjoyed in a place like this. Thank you very much. Last but not least, there is that area or that partner that we must always remember to thank when such functions are taking place, and that is the media. I'm sure the media is well represented here, led by our communication team from IGRTC and other media houses, well represented. I was looking at my phone a few minutes ago, and I could see whatever we are doing is being aired. What it is called? The YouTube. Or it's being live streamed. That is the language, I think. It's being live streamed. So when I looked at it, that time Madam Mayaka was the one who was speaking, and I could see you on my phone from there. Thank you very much for those services that are able even to tell the world what is happening in a small room in Fairmont Hotel. Thank you very much. I hope I've taken care of all of us and been able, for those whom I've not mentioned either by institution or by name, we thank you very much for coming to grace this occasion, because without you, we would not be launching this DRM report to empty tables. All is well that ends well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Angeline. Now may I invite Madam Alice to say a word of prayer. Then our lunch will be served at the launch. Then we can leave at our own pleasure after the prayers.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Mine is to pray, but before I pray, just to remind you what the Vice Chair has just announced, lunch is going to be served at the main lounge. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you with thanksgiving for enabling us to successfully launch the report. We pray that you will guide us to be able to implement it to the letter for the benefit of the Kenyan citizens and also for the success of devolution. We pray you bless the food we are going to eat. Bless it so that it builds our bodies, it does not cause any harm. And at the end of the meal, grant journey mercies to each one of us as we return to our places of work. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
you.